Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. This will be your ultimate guide when it comes to moving to Denver, Colorado.
That's right. If you're out of state or in state, we're going to dive into quite literally everything you need to know about moving here and share with you guys some really good resources that we share with our clients when they're moving over here. So this gives you a little insider look.
And by we, it's going to be me helping some clients, Eli piloting some Google Earth and some guides and doing some screen shares and going super in depth and helping you guys understand exactly what we're talking about. Stay tuned.
All right, let's get it. All right, so let's dive right into it. The ultimate guide to relocating to Colorado. We put this guide together for you guys because we found that almost all of our clients go through a very similar process. When they're coming from a different state, they're needing to pick up their life over there. They're planting their seeds and planting the roots down in Colorado, but you've got a home to sell. You're trying to buy a home. You're out of state. Are you traveling in town or are you not? There's a lot of different ways that we can do this. In this video, we wanted to break down kind of the top 8 to 10 things that you need to know and what to expect when you're coming out here. And ultimately how to go through the process of relocating from one state to another. And a lot of these things are going to be Colorado state specific. So not just generalities, of what it is to move from one state to another, but actually how we do this in Colorado. So step number 1, research your areas. That's probably why you're on this channel right now. A lot of people, they're starting off on YouTube because you don't even know really what homes to look at online yet. We really got to find the areas. And you guys are going about that the right way because homes do not matter at this point. It is all about the areas. And when it comes to Colorado, as you guys have heard us mention before, if you've watched any of our videos, there's so many choices for people coming here, which can be one of the hard things about making a decision on what cities to focus on. So using Will's clock analogy, we're putting Denver right in the middle. Denver is almost right in the middle of the state. And then if you were to draw a circle around that, so let's draw just a circumference around Denver of about 45 minutes to an hour. That's going to be pretty much the entire Denver metro area. So to give you guys an example of this, here we've got Denver right in the center of the map. Just kind of draw out. Right now, this is just 20 miles from the heart of Denver. Let's go out to possibly 25 to 28 miles. So right here, this is a really good example of what we mean when we say the Denver metro area. And frankly, this is what anyone means when they say they live in Denver. So they could live anywhere within this bubble and they're going to say they live in Denver. What this covers is basically Longmont on the north side and South Castle Rock on the south side here. And then once you really start getting out of Castle Rock, you're basically headed down to Colorado Springs, and that is more or less a different market. And this is going to cover all of eastern Colorado, all the way out here into the foothills as well. So this is primarily, if you're watching our video, this is primarily the area that you're going to be researching. Okay. Now, part of your research that you're going to be doing here is hopefully jumping on a Zoom call with us, because what we do on those calls is we can really help you determine, based on your wants and needs, if northern Colorado is going to be for you, or southern, or east, or west, or right smack dab in the center of Denver. So this all comes down to researching your area and ultimately coming down to what your needs are in a home, in a neighborhood, in a city, how that looks with your lifestyle, how that looks with your family, and ultimately what your priorities are. Defining what your priorities are is actually point number 2. So after we started researching our areas, what we want to start doing now, even before you start diving into homes, is establishing, hey, what are our priorities right now? Right? Us as a single person, as a family, as parents, as a retiree, whatever you look like when you're coming here to Colorado, your priorities are going to be built around that. Okay. And then what we establish as your main priorities is then how we are going to determine what areas are going to work for you in the future. All right. This first step of researching areas is really just to get familiar with the sections of Colorado. Like I said before, north versus south, east versus west, what's going to fit into your lifestyle. Now, with these priorities, there's a few different pillars of these priorities that we should be focusing on. Some of you guys might have education and school districts as a top priority. Some of you guys might have certain sports programs for your children as a priority. Other people that are moving here solely for, let's say, lifestyle purposes with coming to Colorado, proximity to mountains might be a priority. When it comes to neighborhoods, sometimes a sleepier, more quiet neighborhood with a good sense of community might be a priority. Maybe you want something that it's more lively and there's a little bit faster pace, right? More activities to do, good walkability, good activities within town, good nightlife. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but establishing these priorities are a really good way to help us narrow down what cities and more specifically what neighborhoods are going to work for you. So those are going to be some items in regards to neighborhood and area priorities. But then the next thing we need to establish is what are our priorities with a home. And with that, it boils down to 3 main categories: size, condition, location. And this is a really helpful conversation with people when they're coming coming in and they're trying to establish some areas that have the types of homes that they're looking for in. Here's how we like to do the breakdown. Understanding that we only have so many pieces of this priority pie to cut up, right? Size, condition, location. Also understanding that anytime we need to put a priority on one of those pieces, we've got to take from some of the other pieces as well. For example, if we're coming out here and we've got 10 kids, right? The size of the home is the priority, right? So if we're looking at size as the priority, then maybe we need to be a little bit flexible on location or a little bit flexible on condition. On the flip side, if location is a priority and we want to be in the most premier exclusive locations, then maybe we need to sacrifice a little bit on condition or size. This is a really good conversation that we have with clients. It really helps them dial in where we can now find the homes in the areas that are going to work for them. And again, this is exactly why we tell you guys to reach out and call us all the time, because this is exactly what we do with you guys on this first Zoom call that is really, really catered to you. So it's like after you get to watch our videos and get your broad general knowledge of the areas, then you reach out to us. This is really when you then get that same information just tailored to you and your exact needs and priorities.
All right, hopping back in here, as a reminder, don't forget about me, don't forget about him. We don't forget about him. But this number popping up below, don't forget about that. And our reminder that we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado. And yes, it's just as much as we love making these videos. We would love more to help you with those real estate needs. Right. So that number that's still below, we are the guys trying to answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So just something we can do to help you, we would love to. But with that being said, let's get back into some area guides and everything that you guys are going to want to know for the rest of this video.
So now let's move on to point number 3, and that is going to be cost of living. Now, cost of living is really important because what you don't want is potential sticker shock from where you're coming from to coming to Denver. So one of the best websites we found for comparing cost of living is this one. I'm going to show you guys right here. So here we are on this website. This is rentcafe.com. We'll put the link in the description below. But essentially what you're going to do here is you're going to put in where you currently live and then where you want to live and then what your salary is. And then this is going to give you the breakdown broken down into housing, utilities, food, healthcare, transportation, goods and services, and income, and show you how it's going to compare. So just for example, I did Tampa, Florida is where we live, right? But we want to move to Denver, Colorado, and a salary of $150K. Now this is telling me in summary that, hey, to maintain my Tampa, Florida standard of living in Denver, Colorado, I would need to make about 15% more with my job or my income here if I live in Denver. So let's go through and take a look at how exactly this breaks down. So here, this is telling us that with housing, Denver is approximately 3% higher than Tampa. So we're pretty comparable there. But when it comes to utilities, we're 14% lower than Tampa. And then when you're looking at food, healthcare, transportation, goods and services, let's see, goods and services is like daily living stuff, haircut, beauty salon, shirts, clothes, a movie ticket. So day-to-day living things here. But here's the cool part. It now shows that Denver, you will be making on average 31% higher. So it gives you a comparison of median household income in Tampa, median household income in Denver. So even though it's overall, you'll need to be making 15% more if you were to come here. The good news is that, hey, you're actually per median income going to be making 30% more than if you were to have the same job than in Tampa. So again, really good site for really just breaking down how does your current state compare to Denver when it comes to cost of living. And again, this is just an important thing for you to look at because again, when you're coming out here, you want to look at all the possibilities. If you're just looking at housing prices, maybe you think Denver's more expensive than where you live. But then if you look at potentially how much more money you could make, maybe how much money you're saving on utilities or some other factors that are unique to your city versus Denver, it could ultimately make more sense for you to move here despite maybe homes being more expensive, okay? Also, guys, if you're coming from East Coast or California or Seattle, what you're gonna find is a lot of times, guys, and you're saving a lot of money by coming here as well because our housing is cheaper than a lot of those other areas or less expensive than those other areas. And overall, man, there's just a lot that is going on here in Denver, which you guys have heard us talk about. But Rent Cafe, an excellent resource for you guys to go and compare so you know exactly what you're coming into prior to making the move to Colorado. All right, now let's address the rent versus buy question. So looking at the Denver rental market first, the Denver rental market is pretty competitive, right? Some people think they can come over and they can save money by renting, especially with interest rates being a little bit higher right now. And oftentimes what you're going to find is that is just not the case. So with our competitive rental market, and then some people might be considering renting because they're like, hey, I just don't necessarily want to buy in an area if I don't know if I'll be comfortable living there. And my response to that, my advice to you is that you don't even want to rent somewhere if you don't know you'd be comfortable living there for a year, right? If you move into a rental and you're there for a year in an area that's not going to work for you or your lifestyle or your priorities, as we discussed earlier, even a year in that place is going to be too long for you. So not pressuring you to buy, but here's what I would do to explore some options and help you come up with your own decision on where you want to purchase or rent. What we see a lot of people do is they will come out here for an initial exploratory trip where maybe they're not even looking at homes yet, but they're coming out here to explore some of these areas that could potentially work for them. You know, after that initial Zoom call where we're going over north versus south, east versus west, kind of coming up with your regions of where, you know, what might work for you guys, there still might be a handful of places, because any of the places that I put within that initial radius at the beginning of this video, there's some really, really good options in there. So a lot of times people come out here for a couple days and they're like, hey, on day one, I'm going to go and explore the north side of Colorado. And then day two, I'm going to go and explore the southern side, the Highlands Ranches, the Castle Rocks, the Parkers. Based on that trip alone, a lot of times they're able to establish, okay, north is for me or south is for me. All right. And then now that we've established what region we want to be in, oftentimes on that trip now, let's say day 3 that you're in town, that's when we can then go explore some neighborhoods and maybe a home or two that are within those neighborhoods in that region that could potentially work for you. So we've been able to do a lot of process of elimination at this point. And honestly, guys, when you're coming out on these trips, it is as beneficial, if not more beneficial, for you guys to find areas that will not work for you as it is areas that will work for you. So now, once you've been able to establish the particular cities or areas, or at least region and neighborhoods that you're interested in, when you go back home and we set up a home search for you, now you at least know that you're looking at homes that are in areas that could work for you, in areas that you like. Then whether it comes to renting or purchasing, you know you're going to be in an area that's going to work for you. If you're the type that wants to come and live in an area before you end up buying here, even before you rent, if you rent or buy, I still recommend the same thing. Airbnbs are a great option. So what I would recommend is getting a home or an Airbnb or just some sort of rental, short term, 1 month, 2 month, maybe 90 days in an area. And you can even try a couple different areas. That way, whether you decide to ultimately rent or ultimately to buy, at least you know you're in a spot that you're proud to call home. So that's a really good way if you're really on that fence of like, I don't want to waste a bunch of money renting, but I'm not quite sure I can commit to a place enough to buy to it yet, then that short-term rental option is a really good option. Even if you just do 30 days somewhere, honestly, 14 days, 30 days, or even 14 days in one city, 14 days in another, that's a good span of time where you can really get a feel if a place is going to ultimately work for you or not. And then again, even if you do ultimately decide to rent for a year, you're not stuck renting for a year in a place that just isn't going to work for you. So now let's talk neighborhoods. What are some of the best ways to really start exploring what homes we can get in a particular neighborhood? Well, shameless plug here. Our website has a really unique component to it that I want to show you guys. This is milehighpropertybros.com, BROS, short for brothers.com. And when I scroll down here, what you're going to find here is an interactive map. Now, this map we had custom made, and we had, some little cute cartoons put on them, like CU, this obvious where the University of Colorado is. Here's Golden. This is where the Coors Brewery is with the little beer mug there. And then we've got the lion here. But what we've done here is we've highlighted everything from Fort Collins down to Castle Rock. And when you click on the particular area, so let's say I click on Fort Collins here, this is now going to bring up Fort Collins and homes and listings that are available out there. But then you can also download a market report for Fort Collins. This will give you a lot of demographics with the city specifically. It'll give you schools in the area and their rankings. And then this will also give you some like restaurants in the area. You can look up coffee shops that are in the area or gyms. And then we've got some of our videos linked down here. But specifically for Denver, this is where it gets really helpful. So when I click on Denver here, it is then going to take us into the city and county of Denver. But now we have a secondary map here where this will show us all the Denver neighborhoods are broken down into sections. And this is super helpful because once you get into the city of Denver, this is where all the different neighborhoods do have some different characteristics and different traits with them. And it is nice to be able to come in here and see kind of where all those things are. Hey, when we go and click on a neighborhood, it is then going to take you in there. It's going to show you the boundaries of that particular neighborhood. It is also going to, like I showed you before, have all the listings that are in the area and gyms, coffee shops. Again, market report just for South Park Hill here, and just a ton of good information. So this has been extremely helpful for a lot of our clients when it comes to just deep diving into specific neighborhoods. And this is information that you won't be able to find on Zillow or realtor.com. This is just specific to our website. And we put this together just for you guys because we know this is something that you guys are always looking for. Finally, getting to the fun part of actually looking at homes. Now, there's one of two ways we can go about doing this, or even a combination of the two. So a lot of times people are coming out here, maybe you're further down your timeline now, and now we can actually go look at homes in person. And these are potential homes that we could make offers on. But maybe you can't come into town. What do we do then? Well, we can then do virtual tours. So on these virtual tours, the way I put it is that the biggest difference between doing this in person or on video is that on video, we make the more commonly unsaid things said. What do I mean by that? Well, on a traditional showing, let's say we walk into a home, on a scale of 0 to 10, there's a 1 smell in the house, right? Maybe it's dog, maybe it's cat, maybe it's just kind of musty because the house has been closed up, but there's something there. On a normal tour, in person, we're probably all observing it, but maybe we're not talking about it, right? Because hey, it's a 1, it's not a big thing, but we all can smell, it's all an observation point for us. However, on a video, you're not there to observe that. So that's where when we're giving these tours, if there's even a 1 on a scale of 0 to 10 smell, we're letting you know about that 1 smell. And we're rating it for you. If we're going into a room that feels particularly small, we're mentioning that to you. Again, maybe in an in-person tour, we're doing that. We're all observing it's a small room, but maybe no one is mentioning it. On these video tours, we definitely are. In addition to that, we're giving you any sort of neighborhood features like the surrounding homes. How do the surrounding homes look? Is there anything behind this home that we need to be aware of? Is there any road noise that we can hear when we're standing on the back deck? These are all things, again, that we might observe as a group as we're touring these homes in person. But on video, guys, we really need to make sure that these are being explained to you and articulated. Just like I said before, the commonly unsaid things we make said on these videos. Now, here's the beautiful part when it comes to buying in Colorado. Once you know the area that you want to be in, that you've been to the neighborhood, you've explored the area, you like it. Then let's say we explore one of these homes virtually on a live FaceTime with you or a really good pre-recorded video, and you're comfortable with the home itself and our opinion of it. A lot of times, guys, that is enough to where you feel confident enough to be able to make an offer on that home and go under contract. Now, when it comes to buying in Colorado, after you've won an offer on a home, it becomes a very buyer-friendly situation in the sense of you have dates and deadlines for everything. You have multiple termination points if it ends up not being the house for you. For example, let's say we get a house under contract. You then have yourself 7 to 10 days for that inspection period to then fly out here, come see the home in person and see if it really is the right home for you. Oftentimes we try and line up our inspection for that time when you're in town. So it's a really good way, guys, to where you don't have to buy a home totally sight unseen, but at the same time, you're able to act fast on a home that may not survive the weekend or not survive a couple days on the market for you to then fly out here and see it in person and then make a decision. And you're also not having to waste a flight or time coming out here just to look at a home that you may or may not like. So this is a really good combination of virtual tours, and being able to make offers and act fast that way. But then after you've got the home under contract, sit back, catch your breath. Now we can make some good decisions through the inspection period and everything to really make sure that this is the home that you want. And then as we proceed to work through all our due diligence periods on that home, this is where we start getting you all teed up for closing, arranging movers, and all that fun stuff. And then from there, guys, we're working through the rest of our due diligence period as far as a contract goes. Average under contract to close time in Colorado is approximately 30 days. It can go longer in some certain situations, but standard is 30 days. And then all you have to do from there is a matter of transferring utilities, making sure those are set up and running, and arranging movers. The company pods tends to be a common option for a lot of our clients that are coming out here. Some people that are doing the Airbnb option, they'll pack up their stuff at their home in their original home state. They'll put it in a pod. They'll go and do the Airbnb option for a month while we're looking at homes, maybe stay there an additional 30 days while we're under contract on their home, and then their pod's already packed up and ready to just be delivered to the new home. So that tends to be a really flexible option for a lot of people. But again, we've got resources for pretty much everything throughout any part of this process. So when it comes to movers, utility transfer providers, anything like that, guys, inspections, quite literally everything that you're going to need throughout the whole phase of looking at homes to closing, we've got guys for you. Now, we're not done quite yet, guys, because there's one last thing I want to talk to you about. That is mountain living versus non-mountain living. Now I'm going to jump over to the map here to show you guys how big of a difference you can have from just a small different region. Okay. And here's what I mean by that. So this area that we have here, basically the area that I'm on, would be considered a portion of the Front Range. So I'm just going to outline this right here. Right here is where we've got, our normal Denver metro area cities. Once you jump on the other side of 470 here, you're pretty much in the mountains. Okay. So this is where we're going to have like Highlands Ranch. You've got Littleton, you've got Lakewood, even Morrison here. These are all going to be very flat areas with just normal urban suburban terrain. But then as soon as you enter into anywhere here in the mountains or cross over here into I-70, man, it goes 0 to 100 real fast in terms of the type of living situation that you're going to have there. Evergreen is a very popular area. From Evergreen to Morrison or even like Denver. I mean, this isn't very far. This is probably a 20-minute trip in the mountains, but you're straight up mountain living here. So what is that going to mean exactly for you? First of all, it's going to mean higher altitude and everything that comes with that. Second to that, it's going to be just different sort of maintenance on your house, right? So you may go from just needing a snow shovel or a snow blower in your normal neighborhood in Highlands Ranch to, okay, now I need a four-wheeler with a plow on it because I have this really long driveway. Like that's very, very common. On top of that, you're going to get more snow in the higher altitude areas in the mountains. And that snow typically is going to stay around a lot longer as well because it's going to be colder than it is out of the Front Range, off the foothills. This is where people that are coming to Colorado, it's really nice when we have that conversation about your priorities and your lifestyle and things like that because we can talk about these things. A lot of people think that maybe they can just come here and buy a house in Evergreen and it's the same as buying a house in Littleton, and it definitely is not. It may not feel like you're in a ski resort because you're not, but you're definitely in the mountains and all the same mountain living rules still apply. As far as the homes itself, they're going to be very similar in terms of the buy and sell process. There are going to be some different things like your home may be on a well, it may be on a septic tank. Those are both very, very common in Colorado. But if you're, in a normal suburban area, you're going to be on public water and public sewers. You're not going to have to worry about that. So these are the things, guys, that are really the primary reasons why we want you to reach out by calling the number below and run these situations by us, right? Let us know about your personal situation. Let us know about your family situation. Let us know why you're moving to Colorado, and we can help give you advice specifically tailored to you as your local boot on the ground experts. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. Let's cut back to Will and I for a quick outro, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, there you have it, the complete guide and everything you guys need to know when it comes to moving to Denver, except for this number that's popping up below and your reminder that we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado. And just as much we love helping you or making these videos and helping you.
That's right.
We'd love more to help you with those real estate needs. So call us, text us, email us, whatever it takes. We'd love to help you guys. But with that being said, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you guys very soon.
See you guys.